from the show that is always on your side. This is Eye to Eye, Kansas City.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining us here on the latest edition of Eye to Eye, Kansas City. What we've got going on in Kansas City, there's a lot of things, including some issues going on in the 5th District. I really wouldn't consider those issues, but some updates that we're going to bring you today here on Eye to Eye about the 5th District. And of course, what's coming up here on Eye to Eye, Kansas City, of course, is there's extra money from the streetcar funding from downtown. Well, I'll tell you what is going to be, what is going to have some extra funding and what is not going to have some extra funding. And of course, us, as I mentioned about the 5th District in terms of politics, we got two State in Union addresses to talk about from President Obama and Governor Jay Nixon. We'll talk about the specifics coming up on this program and a lot more ahead on our show today. So thank you for joining us, and let's get started with news and commentary in the area. Now, what I'm going to start off with is the commission that has filled the 5th District here in Kansas City. Now, what Kansas Cityans wanted to know is how come this process was not brought to a poll near you, the voters, that is. Well, that is because of the 5th District and the mayor wanted to come up with a commission. And this commission was to fill the vacancy of the 5th District. Now, as we all know that Michael Brooks, former council member, Michael Brooks, had resigned due to some allegations of him abusing and hitting a staffer in his office. So there's the legal challenge still going on into that. But let's take a look at some of what the commissioners, what the makeup and what the commissioners are all about for this commission to elect someone to temporarily fill the 5th District vacancy. Now, what we've got is that the commission is based upon those who already serve on municipal boards and commissions within the city. So that was a must from the mayor and for the people of the 5th District. There are 3 candidates that were to be selected and to be interviewed by the mayor's commissioners, and by the mayor and city council. And let's take a look at the makeup of the commission itself. Erica Bryce, who is the board of trustees with the employees retirement system. Ricardo Lucas, with the Kansas City visitors I'm losing my words. Visitors in conventions. Karen Dowie, public improvement advisory. Becky Forst, and Paul Lilly. Now, Becky is with the Silver-Haired City Council, and Paul Lilly is with the Mayor's Committees for Peoples with Disabilities. Now, let's take a look at the 3 finalists that came out of that. And there is someone that is now temporarily filling the 5th District vacancy, which I will get to that here momentarily, so don't get your panties all in a bunch. The 3 finalists that we have here is Ruth Turner, the Public Improvements Advisory. Rihanna, hopefully I said this name right. I didn't get to practice this. Such, Southeast Rep for the Kansas City Neighborhood Advisory Council. And Cofina Hill, Vice President of Initiatives with the United Way here in Kansas City. Now, out of those 3, Cofina Hill is the temporary replacement for Michael Brooks's vacancy. And speaking of the 5th District, not this past weekend, there was a forum that addressed the concerns of residents in the 5th District. Now, the 5th District itself, has had issues with crime, issues with economic opportunities, and so forth and so on. And this was a forum to where residents could address that. and with a lot of backlash from one resident. And of course, as I told you, that the 5th District has a lot of issues in terms of what was addressed at this forum, in terms of crime, education, and opportunities. But one thing that stuck out with that is particularly what to do with Kansas City's children in the neighborhood. They don't have nothing to do. That's what one resident said, and so forth and so on. So now, what is the big challenge for the 5th District? Some say that the city council members have abandoned their needs and haven't really listened to them and hasn't really addressed some of these concerns of crime, economic opportunity, bringing jobs to the 5th District, and so forth and so on. So we will take a look at that. And of course, these are some of the same issues that are similarly in the 3rd District, which I am at today. So we'll get to a little bit later on while I'm here at the Freedom Fountain here in Kansas City. But moving on, it's just a lot of mess going on in the 5th District, including from Michael Brooks. Now, I'll have my commentary on that just a little bit later on our show. But let's move on to the extra money that is going to be moved. There was extra money. Let me start this over. There is extra money that has been saved over from the streetcar construction and funding. And the funding could possibly go to community centers, to a community center rather, for a tornado shelter, roofing Bartle Hall downtown. But here's what sticks out. $3.5 million must be held if further expansion of the streetcar will continue or will exist in the future. That is what that was released to us here at I and other media outlets a few weeks ago. Okay, so that's all that we have going on here. And what I want to take our attention back to is the presidential visit. And what I'll get to all of that here in just a minute. So let's take a break and we'll be right back here on Eye to Eye, Kansas City.
You don't know.
Nothing ever seems to fit.
Chevy Colorado. When you find new roads, you win Motor Trend's Truck of the Year.
What could be better than Golden Corral's piping hot and delicious yeast rolls? How about 6 free yeast rolls to take home?
I like the sound of that.
That's right. Hurry in for our legendary dinner buffet for one low price and take home 6 free yeast rolls. They're world famous, baked fresh daily, and absolutely free.
Free. That works for me.
This deal won't last forever, so bring in the family and take home 6 free yeast rolls. Yup, that's how we roll. Golden Corral, help yourself to happiness.
Hi folks, Jerry O'Neill, Continental Siding Supply. Due to logistical limitations in shipping seamless siding, we decided to manufacture a 29-foot panel for our most popular colors for customers outside the Midwest. Unfortunately, 29 feet is still too long to ship that far. I currently have $2 million worth of this inventory and I have to liquidate it. 29 feet is almost seamless. If you'd like to save 30%, call now.
You asked for it. You got it. New Mitsubishis for just $88 down.
Who saves you more on Mitsubishi? Only Jeremy Franklin Mitsubishi.
Lancers, Mirages, Outlanders, drive with $88 down.
Come in for your new Mitsubishi and get $4,000 for your trade, no matter what.
$88 down. $4K for your trade. Gets JF approved. You asked for it. Now go and get it at Jeremy Franklin Mitsubishi.
At Jeremy Franklin Mitsubishi or JeremyFranklin.com, we'll always be
the satisfied customer.
Hey, Pete, check this out. Come here, little doggy. Sit.
Oh.
Sit.
You train your little doggy?
Yeah, but he's not doing any of his stuff. Shake.
Oh, maybe he's grumpy, you know? I mean, it is lunchtime, so...
Oh, right, it's lunchtime.
It's lunchtime, yeah.
Must be it. Little doggy.
It's okay. Does it taste good, though?
A little dog with a big bite. Little doggies, starting at $1.29. And save room for a molten cake sundae. This is how you Sonic.
Here on Eye to Eye Kansas City, we have a lot of things to still talk about here on today's program, and let's get jumping into it with the presidential village. Can't talk right today. Visit in Lawrence, the presidential visit in Lawrence, Kansas. Now, this particular speech and visit was kind of similar with the State of the Union address that the president gave not too long ago. And he addressed about issues of the economy, child care, equal pay for women, lower the cost for community college to zero, which I'll get into a little bit of an explanation of that, higher the minimum wage, and closing the tax loopholes, and taxing the 1%ers. That is the issue that President Obama was talking about. But of course, as we all know, in the state of where Washington is right now, no means no. And here's my thoughts on the State of the Union address in the presidential visit. It was more of wanting to. It was more of a pushback of the GOP, I think. Don't think it was an embracing of the GOP. But how do we pay for some of these things? You know, we're already getting enough debt as it is, and well, Kansas Cityans and people all across the nation need to know how much is this going to cost and how much more debt is the nation going to take on, and that's what the GOP wants to know as well. How much more of this can we pay for? And what are the specific loopholes that he is talking about closing and shutting off and so forth and so on? And I do think that wealthy need to pay more. They get away with a lot more than they have to. So, of course, the wealthy have to pay their share of things. I just think that's the way it has to be. It is, unfortunately. Now, the GOP wants to sit there and attack the president. And they say that they have their plans, they have their ideas. Well, come on with it. Bring your ideas to the table. Enough is enough with you arguing back and forth with the television. And enough is enough going to Fox News and ABC News and CBS News. Tell the American people what you want to do about the economy, about health care. You know, I don't necessarily agree with Obamacare on every single issue with it. Now, do people need health care? And when you're sick and you don't have money and you don't have the bill to flip for medical coverage, you should have health care available for you. And you should not be told that you need health care. You should not have to pay a mandate you should not have to pay a mandate that tells you or that makes you have to pay for health care coverage. That is certainly something that isn't so right in the country. So I honestly think it's just one of those things to where it's just ridiculous. Now, from the State of the State address from the State of the State address, let me start that over, to the state, from the State of the State to the Lawrence visit, to now the State of the State address given by Governor Jay Nixon. Now, some of the themes are somewhat similar to what President Obama was speaking on a, of course, statewide approach. And he talked about transportation and expanding Medicare and so forth and so on. But one also thing that keeps recurring is transportation. And with the transportation, here's what I'm going to say President, what Governor Jay Nixon threw out in terms of ideas, in terms of the State address. Now, he talks about I-70 being a toll road, an I-70 being a toll road, Interstate I-70 being a toll road, or an increase of the gas tax here in Kansas City. Or not in Kansas City, but in Missouri rather. Missouri has the 7th largest highway system, by the way. But how do we pay for all this? Jay Nixon says that the funding for MoDOT is getting crushed. And the GOP leadership in the state capitol has their own ideas, but again, from a national approach down to a state approach, has no idea of how they're going to pay for it. So that is the issue that is going on in Jefferson City right now. Okay, now I'm going to get to some issues that we talked about in the news and commentary issue that I didn't get to elaborate on. And what I want to go back to is the issue that I have with the temporary fill-in of the 5th District representation. I think honestly the voters of the 5th District should have been involved with this 100% of the time, not just the mayor coming up with the commission. I know time is short and that there needed to be somebody to fill in the vacancy, because as we all know that Michael Brooks had resigned. He has given his resignation in 2014, December 2014, and he officially resigned January 1st of this year. So there was a really fast approach of trying to fill in that seat, but it should have really involved the people of the 5th District. There's a lot of things going on in the 5th District that needed to have some kind of involvement with the 5th District. That is something that I kind of don't see being the main issue, which should have been the main issue, is the citizens, the residents of the 5th District being put to the forefront. Oh, and before I elaborate anymore, there's a possible $10 million that could go to the extra money from the streetcar funding. That could go to the various projects that I talked to you about in terms of a particular community center, or re-roofing our Barter Hall because it needs a new roof replacement. Okay, everyone, I want to go to my final word, and here's my final word today. Now, my final word goes on to a lot of today's youth and parents not being parents. You have to be parents. You have to watch where your kids are going. You have to be questionable where your kids are going and what they are doing. There are some parents that don't just give a crap. They really obviously they don't, because of the situations that have went on in the plaza and other entertainment venues across the city. It is not the police's job to babysit. It is your job, parents. Your jobs only. You put the kids here, and it takes two to tango, as far as I'm concerned. So how about you parent up and take care of your kids? On my way here to the fountains here, I've seen an explosion, well, not an explosion, but a bomb near Central High School that the kids put together. And I honestly think that parents need to start watching out for their kids and start disciplining their kids accordingly. It doesn't make any sense of why you let your kids go out there and get into Lord knows what. But then you get on TV and say, that's my baby, they treating my baby all wrong. Well, if you learn to discipline your kids and teach your kids a lot of morals and so forth and so on, your kids will be doing okay. So, with that being said, parents need to be more in control. And even with that said, kids, some of your kids need to govern yourselves accordingly. You never heard of that saying, but governing yourself is take care of yourself, good about your business, of doing your business, and stop getting into mayhem. Stop following your friends and all this other stuff. It's stupid. Just because they say jump off the cliff, you gonna do it? And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and say thank you guys for watching. We got a lot more in store, and we're going to get into, here's what's coming up on the next Eye to Eye Kansas City. We're going to get into the specific candidates for the 5th District and other districts, of course. We're going to get in, we're going to needle in very closely on the candidates of the 5th District and the 3rd District, if there's any. We're going to do some research and let you know all about it on the next Eye to Eye Kansas City. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you back here next time on Eye to Eye Kansas City.